Put all your stuff away and check out for the day. There's no time to waste when it's 100 degrees. Burns under my feet. Won't you have a drink with me?
Hey, what's up guys? Tip and Tara here, and welcome to another installment of our Fiji series. Now we're going to talk about the brass tacks, the money in our budgets. All right, so this is probably what some of you have been waiting for. We're going to break this down into 5 different categories: our accommodations, our food and drinks, groceries, activities, transportation around the island. So these are the top 5 things we're gonna break it down into.
Yeah. So we spent 12 nights in Fiji, and budget obviously depends a lot on where you go and what you do. Fiji is huge, 330 islands. So if you plan on just staying on the main island in and around Nandi or the Coral Coast, it's probably going to be a little bit cheaper. We spent 8 of our 12 nights on the islands. So it obviously drove up our costs a little bit more, not only for transportation, but also for food and all of that stuff for being on the island. So just keep that in mind. But here's our breakdown.
The first one is accommodations. So this generally is going to be the most expensive, no matter where you go, whatever it is. And that's what we normally spend the most money on. But there's a lot of different options for what you're looking for, budget-wise, price-wise. We stayed in 4 different places over the 12 nights, and they range from $97 all the way up to $413. And so the total for all the 12 nights was $32.53 US. Which comes out to about $271 per night, which, I mean, I think that's a pretty good value from all the different places that we stayed at, which if you watch our Fiji series, you'll see all the different places. And, you know, that's just obviously something you can't really get around. You got to stay somewhere. But all the places we stayed at, we absolutely loved. So, yeah. I mean, it was great. Check out the videos on all those.
For Osmond's Bay and Coconut Grove and Taviune. Definitely both worth the price.
Yeah, you can see why we spent that much money when you watch those videos.
Yeah. Second category is food and drinks. We found the food and drinks to be pretty affordable. On the islands, things will be more expensive just because it's harder to get there. To get the food there.
Harder for the food to get transported there. Right. That's good. I like it.
You know what I mean. And on a lot of the islands, they have meal plans, so you don't have an option but to pay that price. So Osmond's Bay was a meal plan. Taviune was an optional meal plan because there's other places in Taviune, but most of the time you're going to be paying for a meal plan anyways. So we spent $21.99 on the food and drinks throughout the time, which is about $183 a day.
Yeah. So the next topic will be groceries, which if you watch some of our other videos, you follow along with us, you know, food is a big thing in our lives. In everybody's lives, you need it to live. But we do try to generally go get groceries wherever we go because it helps us save money as we travel. Unfortunately, when you go to Fiji or at least the places that we went to, they have a lot of those meal plans. So we did not have too much when it came to grocery bills because a lot of the places that we stayed at provided the food for us. So, I mean, there were certain times like when we were on Taviune that we would go to the store and then we'd buy like snacks here and there and like our deli meat, that type of stuff. But Outside of that, it was mostly just getting water, beer, and then that type of stuff outside of the places. But in total, we only spent $270 in groceries the whole time, and I'd say probably 80% of that was beer for me.
Yeah, we didn't do any cooking this time, which normally we tend to do some cooking. None of the places that we stayed had a kitchen, so that obviously took that out of the equation. And even some of the places didn't have a fridge either. So, previously we would have like bought little snacks or even extra waters to put in the fridge. And without a fridge, that limits that. So, brought our grocery thing down, but it went up in some other categories.
Yeah, it went up in the actual paying for the food that people were preparing for us.
Yeah. Next category is activities. So we did 4 tours during our time on Fiji. We did Seventh Heaven, which if you haven't watched our Seventh Heaven video, make sure you watch that. It's a little floating pontoon in the middle of the ocean. We did a sunset trip to Yaroma Island, which is off of Osmond's Bay. That was awesome. We did the snorkeling in the Rainbow Reef. Rainbow Reef is really popular for snorkeling and scuba diving. And
check out that video.
Yes, check out that video. And then we also did the Lavina Coastal Walk. Check out that video. So we did a lot of excursions on this trip. I would say more than we normally would. But there was a lot that we wanted to see and do in Fiji. And so that obviously made our expenses a little bit more than normal. But overall, we only spent $515 on the 4 tours. So just a little over $100 per tour. So really not that bad, considering what we did. And I would say all of those are great must-do tours when you're in Fiji. Really kind of shows what Fiji is like. So I don't think that you need to you shouldn't not do tours while you're in Fiji, I think, because it's such a beautiful place to be able to explore. So
yep. The next topic will be transportation. And then mind you, just so you know, I mean, we generally like to island hop when it comes to certain places like this. We like to see as much as possible. One, because that's what we want to do. We want to maximize our time. And then also we want to do as much as possible so we can show you guys. So our transportation costs was a little bit high, but that all included car rentals, taxis, ferry, flights, airport transfers, that type of stuff, because we're constantly moving like every 2, 3, 4 days, whatever it is, roughly. So this can get expensive if you travel the way we do, especially like we want to see so many places. So the total for our transportation, with all of that being said, was $1,433, which comes out to about $119 per day, which is, I mean, I don't think that's all too terribly crazy, but it's, that includes all the flights and everything that we're doing. And
yeah,
so it's just something that comes with territory if you wanted to visit all the places we visited in the time we're there.
Yeah, I mean, that includes the round trip flight from Nandi to Taveune was a big price. That was, I think, $300 or $350 US per person. So that's $700 right there. And then the round trip ferry from like Nandi to the Asawa Islands was another big purchase. So again, those are just getting to the outer islands, and so that's going to be where a lot of the expense is going to come from. Even if you take away one of those, like if you take away Taveune, like that's half the transportation price right there. So
it's pretty cheap to get around, like when you're on the islands in general.
Yeah, and like the taxi and that kind of stuff is pretty affordable, and even the ferry is pretty affordable. I mean, that was a 4.5-hour ferry ride.
Yeah.
So, but just know that because we did more riding around and seeing all the places, that obviously brought up our price a lot.
And when you see our breakdown of our itinerary, you'll understand why it was that expensive, and you'll see like all the different places that we went in those, I don't know, what is it, like 11, 12 days? 12 days.
Nights.
So
Yeah.
it's, there's a reason why it was that high, but it's not like it's super expensive in general if you didn't do what we did.
Yeah. One thing to be aware of is all cards in Fiji are charged 3% no matter what. And some places only take card. So
Yeah.
some places you can get away with paying cash and then you don't have that extra card processing fee. But that's just a Fiji thing.
That's a tourism.
Government implemented it a while ago, and there's just no way around it. So know that when you go, you're going to be hit with that 3% card processing fee, which is kind of a bummer. But
which sucks in the sense because, like, that's just for your accommodations, basically, kind of. That's where the bulk of it is. But then, like, when you're trying to pay locals and taxis and stuff, then they want cash. So it kind of, so you still should bring cash, and that helps a lot. But then, like, when it comes to accommodations and, like, kind of the bigger things, that's where you're going to get most of the fees coming from.
Yeah, like Seventh Heaven is only a card only. Osmond's Bay was only card only. So, it just depends on where you're at if you're going to be able to pay cash, but just know that you're probably going to be having to pay a little bit extra on top of whatever, if your meal plan is 120 Fiji dollars a day, you're going to have a 3% charge on top of that too.
Yeah.
So.
And this is at the time of recording because things could change. Everybody could get on board. Every island could get on board. But at that time you got to swallow that 3%.
Yep. It is what it is.
Yep.
Okay, so that is the total of what we spent in Fiji. If you want to see the total breakdown of everything that we spent on our whole trip, make sure you download our Fiji budget guide. We'll link that here. And if you haven't already, make sure you watch our Seventh Heaven video. That place is to die for. But make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We have some more Fiji content coming soon. We're not quite done. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss those. See you guys in the next one.
Peace.